1 minute. Give it a couple more minutes for people to get into the webinar. Probably kind of get started like 11:33 or something like that. So it looks like a lot of people are joining right now. Let a couple more people join, and we'll get started. Does that sound good, Anita? Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. See some former KWAL alumni in the attendees, so that's great to see. See you there, Matt. We've got the Q&A should be available for people during the webinar. Feel free to jam in on that as you kind of have questions and comments, and Anita will help kind of facilitate any of those as we get towards the end. We'll have about 5 minutes to Q&A at the end of this. It'll be short and 30 minutes because nobody wants to stay on a Zoom longer than 30 minutes anyway. Let me go ahead and kind of kick it off. So for those who haven't met me, I'm Kevin Wall, the K in K Wall. If I have met you, hi, nice to see you again. And we're going to do kind of short webinars around our products. And this is one that I'm really excited about that we've been working on for quite a while. And it's now being branded as Accorbis. So we started it out as K Wall Sites. We're going to officially show this, and it'll be its launch right at AMA Higher Ed. So we'll have it at our booth with demos at AMA Higher Ed. So if you're going to be there, we'll have it there as well. And we've created this product just like we've done everything at KWAL to try to help people reduce the technical debt and efforts of having great content and great systems and great platforms on the web. So coming up with Accorbis, one of the areas that we run into a lot of the time is that we work with very large organizations with a lot going on, and we're working in what usually like some marketing tech staff is like 10% of their job is like our entire job. So we're down there helping with their websites and things like that. And there's so much work to be done to create a great website or 100 websites for a different college or university or enterprise government entity. So we want to alleviate some of the effort towards creating those or managing those web ecosystems, web platforms, and giving you a central place to enhance or empower those. So we've built Accorbis to do so. We call it a website management and intelligence platform. We are just kind of starting this out with the ability to manage your web ecosystem, and we're going to continue enhancing it with more intelligence, more reporting, more capabilities as it becomes more and more mature. What is it? It's a website management system. It has a centralized dashboard where you can create groups of not just websites, but like maybe web systems, which I'll show you in the demo, things that people need access to, and you create different groups inside this tool set. So maybe one department or one section of people need access to 3 things and need access to this other 8 things. You can combine them all into an easy to use list and manage those and give certain groups access to control and have better visual information on what's in front of them to use. We have It's built on top of the Pantheon backend. So if you're already on Pantheon, great. If not, it gets you on there faster, allows you to get some of our starter kits or your own starter kits and just deploy them with simple buttons and roll out sites in minutes that have features that are constantly asked for, already kind of baked in. We also have a digital marketplace where we're allowing you to do different requests and improve your sites or get help with them, as well as like a help center and a how-to center for specifically Drupal and WordPress. And we're going to be adding different starter kits as we go. Also, maybe things that aren't on Drupal and WordPress. So, um, why did we build this? Like I said, we're looking for simplifying things in technology. We have since the beginning of KWall, one of the reasons we dumped into Drupal and went all in on Drupal was we were actually able to give less technical people or people with high feature requirements systems and tools that actually took less time to build and were customizable and flexible. And so instead of having to start everything from scratch with a 600-page technical document and build out this, technical system or web system that allowed people to really write content and get users engaged and all of that, we found Drupal allowed us to reduce the hurdle of creating great systems, and it created this amazingness in Drupal. So we dove really deep into that. We drove really deep into WordPress, and now we're also diving deep into the overall management of a ecosystem that is sometimes just kind of out there in the ether and is a tribal knowledge that people don't necessarily know where everything is or what they have. As tech's gotten more advanced, so as more of the expectations of the platform. If you look at downloading like a Drupal or a WordPress and you get started at that, just the amount of effort to get something to a blank page is extreme. And so we're reducing some of the effort to get there, so you could just click a couple buttons and get what you need. And updates and maintenance used to be optional, and now it's very much a requirement. So if you're coming from one of our starter kits, it allows you to just be constantly receiving updates, and security and maintenance are baked in instead of seeing that you've got to go figure out how to get that done and creating risk across an organization. We see a lot of the time on web systems and websites where we see either endless website rebuilds, where it's just no one really knows how this thing was built and what came from it, and we got to just start from scratch, and we start completely over. It's a big hurdle with budgets, and so maybe a starter kit with a lot of the features already involved would give you 80%. We identified that, and we're building starter kits to help with where something maybe went off the rails. Off-brand rogue websites. So a lot of the time at a big organization or even a small one, some department down into the depths of a college, for example, like a business college, maybe gets a new marketer and they don't even know what they have, so they just go find something and start building it, and then you have to pull it back from them and get it into a platform that's approved and on brand and maybe accessible. So creating a centralized dashboard tool area for them to come in and utilize what's already available will reduce some of that need. Wasted budget on things that are already available, so not having a centralized place to see what's available to you or get help creates wasted budgets on people hiring staff. going and getting images that aren't correct licensing, things like that. So that's obviously an issue. And then bringing the right support team. Again, like you're probably going and just grabbing somebody and hoping they'll do a good job for you. Like all of that can be put together in one centralized place. Just the lack of clarity of tools and visibility is a big one for a lot of people. So we built it for mostly IT and marketing teams that we work with constantly that want to manage all their own websites and web systems, and usually are facilitating a centralized or a slight decentralized management of a bunch of websites and things going on across all these different web properties. They have an established brand. They need everything to meet a certain requirement, and have a lot on their plate to deal with. Anybody that wants to give access to a set of websites or links or information to a small team somewhere, or anybody that has certain big complex website needs, including like events, news, different features like that, student or staff portals. That's kind of who we built it for. There's our typical clients we're working with that have a lot of moving parts and need a little bit simplification of that. So before we go into the demo, the system itself is completely white labelable. So we have two different ways you can get started, but all of them allow you to create your own organization. That organization allows you to set colors and a logo and a few other options in there. And as you're deploying out starter kits and as people are going into your portal, it'll be branded with your logo, your colors. The sites that roll out will be in your colors and your logo. So everything kind of works in a brand and gets you to that point where you can get started. If you have your own upstream on Pantheon, or you have your own WordPress or Drupal copy of a site that you want people to just use this one and not ours, all of that is customizable. And we help you get that set up very easily. If you have even higher requirements of things you want done differently than the platform, we provide a white labelable option, and we'll work with you on how that all works out. Very simple to get started, but it does look and feel like yours. So it won't just look like ours. You can make it look however you'd like. You can create different teams and departments and give them access to certain things across the organization, which I'll show. And then we have a customizable marketplace. So if there's things they would like, including just help with imagery or anything, videography, redesigning a page, working through that, they can request it. We can work with them and get little micro projects done that help over time. So it's just that small to big, take a little bite off of everything and kind of grow it up. Outside of that, we have our starter kit site deployment system, which you'll see in a minute. And a lot of that takes the 1,000-hour approach of a lot of these things, where we're looking at downloading a CMS, finding the web host, setting up a local development, installing it, building out the user accounts and the roles and the architecture, and building out search and doing everything from scratch over and over and over. We're seeing that a lot. We know that like every site is not the same. Everything's a different snowflake. So a lot of the base backend architecture of these have been configured in a loose way that allow you to utilize a lot of our best practices, but extend it to what you feel like is different or special, or change the theme or the brand as you like. But usually it's somewhere between 500 to 1,000 hours of work. If you add that up across a lot of different sites, that's what we're seeing right now, especially in like Kentico 12 or Drupal 7 to 10, is then you see a giant amount of work involved in front of you. So we're trying to look at starter kits that will help reduce a lot of that work and get you away from white screen syndrome of just deploying a site and then being stuck with nothing and having to figure it out. So we're building different starter kits that have different look and feels. We're building out customized options with different components that just allow you to create, but start you with some ideas, start you with a different page style for an alumni site, start you with a different page style for a city and a park site, and a local map site for a small city. the things that would get you started and get you going. We found that some of these typical larger enterprise builds take obviously months and months, but using this and using some of the starter kit build out can lower it to weeks. You don't have to just use our starter kits. You can bring your own, but it allows anybody that you've allowed into your organizational portal the ability to roll out a site, start working on it in minutes, and have a starting point that gets to move faster. And then from the top, we're providing updates, maintenance, all of that. But it's all open source. You have full dev access. You can do whatever you want to each one of these deployed starter kits that you've got, and you're off to the races. Now, here's some examples of some of the features that exist in the starter kits. Obviously, everyone needs event calendars. They can all look like different things. These are examples that we've done in the past, but the back end of each one of these is very simple. Obviously, repeating dates, title, link to register, description, imagery. So we've built a lot of that content types expectation in there, some of the views in there, but as you choose to slightly change your themes and your front end, they can look diverse. Again, news articles, it's pretty standard across the board with what's a basic need for it. We don't need to start those from scratch, but we need more than what would just default install from a general CMS. So they can all look completely different. The front end can look different, but the back end has some similarities to make it simpler and easier, and actually saves a lot of testing and potential risk for errors. For EDU, obviously looking at different areas of study, degree, program listings, filtering, all of that's kind of built into the starter kits that have that option. And you can just get this and start working on it instead of starting from, well, what fields do I need? What should show up here? How does this search work? And having to work through the expense of them. As that being said, let me exit out of here and I'll just give you the quick demo that we put together for here. Any questions, feel free to toss them in the chat and I'll share my main screen here. Okay, so a couple demos I wanted to show. Overall, you have kind of like a base dashboard where you land into. You can manage different users. You have your organization where you can bring in your logo and your colors, as we talked about when you get set up. And then you can create different accounts for different things. So this is my make-believe college. And at that, I probably have a main campus team. I have an engineering department. Maybe I have an alumni section. And what I want, I can come in here and I can kind of build out my dashboard of access tools that I'm going to be using on a day-to-day. I can give users different users access to this account on its own. So likely I'm going to be using Google, a main website, Dubbot for scanning, maybe Slate as a normal access. All this is something I could customize and give people access to and link and gain access to if I need to roll a new site out for them. I can come in here, maybe choose all the sites. We have a handful of our starter kits obviously currently available, and we're adding more, each different type of organization, because we do work with like city and state governments, K-12 schools, universities. They have their own customized starter kits, so each one will see kind of different options in that realm. You could start with Drupal or WordPress that just is straight up plain, and it'll roll it right into Pantheon, turn it on, send you an email, send you a link to log in. You don't have to like know anything else, and you can start building out a site just based on that, choosing these templates and filling out a few more details and selecting a plan at the next stage where you choose like what hosting plan you want to be on. It's all automated, and then you can email back. So you can build out these different accounts, give different people different access to each one of these, and grow from there. In each of those, they could obviously gain access to their site, but also see a marketplace of offerings of like what they may need help with, looking at anything from getting single sign-on on to integrating a social media feed or a security audit, whatever they kind of need in here. They could just ask. We can work it all out through that in the marketplace. They can also create their own template. So if you deploy out a site and you create a site you really like, you can set that up as a template, and then other people in your organization can roll out that site as well, and kind of keep copying, creating your own starting kits of your own, having them also be the approved ones to deploy it out. In a real use case, my alma mater is ASU, so we've done a lot of work with ASU, and we love working with them. They have a Pantheon account, no secrets there, and they use WebSpark as their upstream or starter kit for ASU. And so if I look at just like ASU alone, I can see that there's 6,000 subdomains, which is an easy way to kind of just look and say, oh, hey, there's a lot of stuff here. And so for our real use case, we said, okay, well, this is a great example of how this might look for ASU. Is it has their online site, their main website, their accessibility scanning, their campus map links, their news site, all is probably main marketing's necessary day-to-day actions. For engineering, this is most likely somewhere I would look at maybe breaking these out to even more, but they have this many sites lying around, and a lot of the time there's not even a visual place to go see this and be like, oh, yeah, the Slate Lab, like that's a site I manage. There's just nowhere to go see that unless you go into your hosting provider and dig around and you had access. If you didn't have access, you wouldn't even know. But there's times where maybe engineering needs to roll out a new site, and part of the requirement is to do that through WebSpark CMS. So to do that, obviously you first need to be approved to do that, fill out a request to get that access, go through Pantheon, set up your site in Pantheon, choose this WebSpark CMS, deploy it, go here, and then install Drupal, follow a bunch of steps. If you're not technical, this is a lot of unknownness happening. And then fill out a bunch of other things here. And then you start out and you end up with a site that just kind of has the ASU brand on it, and you don't know what to do. With this system, you can fill out name, description, choose WebSpark, create. It does all the install for you. It sends you a link to log in. It gets all your setup done without any of that work. But then you have full access to the Pantheon system. You have full access to your site and to customize it from a developer or a marketer standpoint. And then you can actually create different types of these WebSpark starter kits that it comes from. So it will allow you to then build out your templates as an organization, to have one maybe that's really specialized for certain types of departments, have one that's very special for an event system that's simplified, a student portal, but all comes from the same general starter kit. So we're putting that into practice now, and that's an area that I think is going to be really exciting to watch people build out. With only a few minutes left, I will say, let me share this, kind of where we're going next with this. So right now it's a manageable platform. Let me find my screen here. One second. This is what's coming up next once we've moved on to the next stage here, is we're going to be building in more intelligence information. So we're going to be building in analytics, content analysis tools. We have some starter kits that we're rolling out with AI-based content authoring options built in, so you don't have to figure out how to add those to your current systems, and you could get the power of things like ChatGPT and imagery APIs and open source image libraries and all of that built into the starter kits. We're going to be doing more security tools on top of these starter kits and the sites that are deployed, understanding what might be happening there, applying machine learning on if perhaps content is being done rogue, like by some user that's never logged in and now is posting 100 things, looking at ways to improve simplistic accessibility analysis, so really understanding what's an issue and what's not when it comes out, and building more complex like work request boards to just like simplify a place to post technical or digital needs that the entire organization can see, so that things that are happening in one place and also in the other place can be then unified and supported in one simple place. So a lot of that's what we're looking at: alerts, notifications, further reporting, so you can really get an edge on your organization. That's to come. So as we've kind of early released this, that's kind of where we're at in the current place. I think we have like 5 minutes. Is that right, Anita, for questions?
Yeah, so we have 5 minutes for any questions anybody has. We have a little Q&A section here in Zoom where we can post questions and get those answered for you all. I do have some, guided questions, for those of you that had joined us and that are managing, multiple sites, which you can kind of just throw your answers in chat and share with us. But, one of the questions I had for everyone here is, how are you managing multiple sites now? What does your system look like, in comparison to, what Kevin's showing with our marketplace and having everything in a single spot? For those of you that are managing multiple sites, how is that being handled at this point in time? So if you want to share in chat, that would be great. Or if anybody has any questions they could add to Q&A, I'll give everybody a few seconds with that.
Yeah, let me know if there's any questions in there, Anita. I think, as we're growing this, it'll be interesting to just get people on board. For me as a technologist, try to find the simple ways that uh, that we can empower people on a digital way without adding more buttons to their life, like making it simple.
Yeah, so one of the questions I have, Kevin, is, for people that have, came in, and either somebody else or K-Wall's done, completely custom Drupal site. Is this an option for them?
100%. Yeah. Yeah, we can roll it up, put an account together, which is part of the plan, is to give access to current clients and past clients, or clients that just we finished their work, and give them access to this and set up their system to allow them to just come in and give us feedback and use it. So absolutely.
And if there's a specific, there's a university system that they're already using, but there's a specific college or department that wants to utilize the system, is that something that they can do without the entire university buying into the marketplace?
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be an entire organization that has to sign up to join and use it. It could be just one department, or like a small team of any sort. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't discriminate across all or nothing.
And would we be able to help, since all of this is on, the Pantheon as a base, if somebody has a custom site coming from Acquia, is that something that would be able to help set up with that move?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the starter kit rollout part of it uh, requires, obviously, you don't have to have to be clear, like you don't necessarily have to have a Pantheon account to be eligible either, but it requires it to deploy into Pantheon and set you up there. But a different host and a different thing. It doesn't really matter for this. It's all an organizational tool to be at the base. And it's very flexible too, so we can customize and change things as you want people to see in your organization. So if you want them to only see this one thing, we can do that. If you want to only see this stuff, then we can do that as well. But it can be done by one department, or it could be done by an entire college, or like a city or whatever. Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hmm.
Those were the bulk of our questions. And that kind of wraps up our time almost. But I guess there's one more that actually just came in as we're about to wrap up. So how long would it take us, to get a response and a general game plan put together to utilize the marketplace that we've created?
The responses will vary. Probably you'll get an immediate response right away. I think a couple fields we're going to add there is like a starting at, and we're working on just clarifying some of those to make sure they're really tangible things that people might need for their site, like not just general ideas. But the response will come back really quickly. We just get those immediately, and we'll triage those. And since we have a 24/7 staff, we'll have people there just answering and working through those ideas. And as the requests get more unified, the answers will be faster. But I would guess you'd probably get an immediate response within an hour, and then you'd probably get a formal plan around it, depending on what it is that you're asking to do during that day, like right away.
Thanks, Kevin. And as
Yeah.
Kevin stated earlier, here, the official launch and rollout, is at AMA in November. But if there are any questions and interest, and you want, maybe a more detailed demo with us individually, please feel free to reach out to us and contact us directly, and we're happy to talk through this new web management and intelligent platform with Accorbis.
All right. Thank you guys for spending your Wednesday with us.
Thanks all.
Talk to you soon. Bye.